March.
And I'm Doppler 10 meteorologist Madison Reich, and we're taking a closer look at the storms getting ready to roll in here.
We are. Thanks for joining us on 10 TV Plus. We'll be going on for several minutes to kind of break down what's happening this afternoon and this evening. Literally in the past 10 minutes, Madison, we've seen some thunderstorms firing to the west of Dayton, and they're heading our way.
Yeah, so we've been tracking this front, of course, for honestly the past 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
We've been watching this system very closely. Right now, looking pretty good out there. We have been watching and anticipating a possible severe thunderstorm watch, but nothing as of right now, Jerry.
No, that's good. We're still carrying that window, though, of opportunity for the strong storm, 7 p.m. till about midnight or just after that. Main threats, and while a tornado is not out of the question in any of the spring thunderstorm event, high winds and hail are the primary threats, really focusing on that high wind component. Watches and warnings right now, there are none, but we will let you know either by way of the mobile app, social media, the bottom of the screen if you're watching us on regular television through broadcast or cable when that severe weather threat moves in and produces a watch or a warning. Right now we're looking at the radar scan for us and seeing just a couple of pockets of interest, most notably west of Columbus. So we're going to take a look right now at the area to the west of that and expand this map just a bit. This is something that we've been watching, and you talked about that cold front right now. That area is just west of I-75. We'll try that again, zooming out to capture that area of thunderstorms. And you do see a couple of spots, actually one thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm warning, just north of Louisville. So getting the radar scan back on there for you, showing that the lightning has really become rather intense in a few of those cells. There's I-75 in Dayton west of that, and literally going all the way down the Ohio River. Now, this line of thunderstorms is expected to move off toward the north and east. Of course, that would include areas in and around Columbus. So closer inspection right now, we're going to zoom into that one particular cell that is getting the closest to central Ohio. Still several 2 hours away maybe, as we're looking at some of those pockets again beginning to form a bit of a line there. Tracking that, we'll assume that the movement is about 20 to 25 miles an hour with that particular cell. That's going to move off toward the northeast. I'm moving a little fast there, Jerry. Slow down. We'll get it at about 25 miles an hour there. And then we see locations timing out, just getting toward about Dayton at about 7:40 and then 7:45 around Miamisburg, Miami 7:50, and then Washington around 8:01. So what this is telling us is the storm movement is again generally moving in that direction. The other thing I've noticed, Madison, you can pick it up, is just northeast of that line, kind of an extension, and a few of those cells are going a little further northwest than I initially thought, but we're still kind of bounded or using I-71 as that area of distinction because everybody's familiar with that, and that's where we're going to be watching that zone, that corridor for the next couple of hours.
Yeah, exactly, Jerry. We're kind of starting to see those storms again initially pop. It wouldn't surprise me if we still see a couple rumbles of thunder and even some gusty winds and some brief downpours for those areas north and of 71. But again, that main threat is going to be staying further south. So I do want to walk you through that. Again, all the threats that we've got associated with this system, because they're a little bit different than what we've been talking about over the past several storm systems. So let's start off with the big one that everybody wants to know, your tornado outlook. Right now, looking fairly low compared to what we've seen in the past. We do have that 2% risk as of right now. It does include areas just off to the north and to the east of Columbus and the metro. Zanesville clipped by this, portions of Millersburg included within this, but you can see the vast majority of the area not included within our tornado threat. However, with this storm system, it's still possible we see a couple isolated spin-ups within the whole system. So we're watching this pretty closely as we head through the day. The main concern that we're really keeping an eye on is going to be that wind. That's our highest risk category that we have. We're up to a 15% risk, and it does include a good portion of the region, including Columbus, even all the way down into Nelsonville, Zanesville, including Millersburg, Washington Courthouse, and Waverly, Marion, and towards the northwest. Just going to be staying in that lower category. Again, this is kind of the cutoff for where we see those strongest storms. They're going to be staying south of those areas. So again, wind, the main concern, but we're also watching potential for some hail. Here in central Ohio, we do have a 5% risk for that hail, which I know all of these numbers are really low. They sound really small, but when we're talking about severe weather, anywhere from a 5 to 15% risk is actually pretty large compared to the fact that our normal risk is 0 most days. So our 15% risk does again include all of central Ohio. Our highest risk for large hail is going to be staying to the south. That 15% risk is that area in yellow. Some areas with these storms, Jerry, I've seen some reports now that have already started to include some pea-sized hail within these storms, so indicating we already have the strength, and of course we've had the energy throughout the day, and it's still kind of lingering for most spots as well.
Yeah, good to point that out, is that we're getting some of the reports in from the National Weather Service and the spotter network right now. So that continues to be something that we're watching. Backing through that then from the hail, the wind, and that tornado, those numbers on a good day are 0. Today they're just a little bit above that. Still bears watching. Any one of these thunderstorm cells as they're lining up continues to be a bit of a threat. So we're going to take you through that then and looking at the opportunity for some of those thunderstorms as they're moving along. Look to the west, north and west of, if I can get this to work for me, perhaps we can give it a shot there. I don't know if I have the magic track turned on or off, Madison. I didn't. If I press that button,
1 second for you,
give
and
it a
I'll
shot.
get that going.
We're watching these thunderstorms begin again to kind of form that line. That watch has not yet been issued, but it very well could. Another thing that we're watching with the National Weather Service over the past 30 or 60 minutes. Timeline still 7 p.m. right now till about 1 a.m. And not everybody will see the storms, but those that do, the biggest risk will be damaging winds and some downbursts. Not a tornado per se, but still some damaging winds and the possibility of some large hail. So again, at the moment, there are no watches and warnings at 7:06, but I fully expect that could change with the possibility of those thunderstorm warnings continuing. So let's get back into the radar scan for you and then show the area to the west, just about to cross over Interstate 75. That area right now is just producing a little bit of lightning on the leading edge. Individual pockets southeast of Lima. This is just around Champaign and Clark County, south of Bellefontaine and Logan County, and then further off to the southwest, a little more ominous, larger clusters over toward Oxford and then west of Dayton. So we're watching these, and they continue to be something that we've talked about over the past couple of hours. That is something that is finally coming together. These thunderstorms, they were nowhere to be found literally a half hour ago. But we talked about during our broadcast 4, 5, and 6 o'clock that certainly the atmosphere is primed for these storms. We've got the wind, we've got the humidity, there's a moisture, and then we've got this cold front coming through. Those ingredients, of course, coming into place. And just before sunset is when we're seeing these things kick off. Now, there were 1 or 2 showers popped up. I stepped outside during the newscast this evening and literally had 3 raindrops on my jacket, and that faded away. This is not what we're concerned about. We're watching this area off toward the west as it begins to move and kind of congeal into that solid line. So we're going to stop that loop for you and just do a little bit of a general track. Madison, do you have a speed on those storms if they're starting to move at a reasonable speed, or at least something that we can track out?
I'd say as of right now, we're still looking about 30, 35 miles per hour.
Okay, generally east-northeast?
Yes.
All right, so we'll bring that out there, slow down again, get a little far ahead of myself. So this is the area that we're watching. They're just beginning to get into the 10 TV viewing area. We're talking around Kettering. Everybody knows, the Air Force Base, Washington, Middletown, Springfield, and Bellbrook between now and about 8 o'clock. So we're watching at the same time this line is moving off toward the northeast. That is also going to be drifting in a southeastward direction. So if this comes to pass, we're going to be looking at several locations. We'll have the chance for some of those thunderstorms and possibly some severe weather. So one other thing we want to look at is inside these storms. We'll go back to the radar scan for us, and that will show the areas of most intense storms with the lightning flashes. Some of these storms may already be producing a little bit of hail, so we're going to take that into consideration, go a little further off toward the west, and perhaps show you a little bit of inside baseball, some of the tools that we use when we're looking at inside some of these storms. This is an area we're looking at. Well, of course, at the moment, not much showing up worth note. We'll let this kind of catch up and play back. There's a little bit of blue showing up there around Oxford and some very, very small pea-sized hail. There we go, getting a little closer right now. So any one of these colors a little bit different than what we're normally showing you. But when we're looking at these different colors, this is simply showing areas of potential hail. So getting a little closer in right now, this is around Lewisburg. And we're talking about a thunderstorm that can be many miles wide. Normally that hail core is much, much smaller, maybe 1 to 2 miles, but it's something that usually ebbs and flows. There's only so much hail that the storm can hold before it releases that hail, and then it kind of cycles through before it does that again. So that is really one of the threats we've talked about. Can try and get a size on that particular hail if it'll allow us to get in there a little bit into the nitty-gritty. I don't know if it's going to allow us to do that, but it was pea size at last check, Madison. I don't know that in the very near future, the next half hour, that we're going to see anything bigger, but that's number 2 in the threats, with the winds and the possible damaging winds being number 1.
Absolutely, and we've been talking about these storms, of course, over the past week. We've been watching this for you. The thing about this system is we do have the potential for some strong to severe storms as we head through the rest of this evening and into the overnight hours. The main thing though with these storms is the line that's moving in, the overall front that's pushing these in is losing strength as it does. So we're likely to see again some strong storms, but this isn't a similar situation to what we've seen over the last couple of severe weather outbreaks. So it's lower on that scale, but we still want to make sure that we're prepared. Everybody's taking this seriously as we head through today. So again, I'm going to walk you through this. I want to take a larger zoomed out view here of this system as a whole right now, because we do have a couple of alerts on this system right now. Mostly going to be looking at severe thunderstorm warnings, but still watching that potential for some stronger cells to develop as we head through the next couple of hours and the storm continues to move into central Ohio, where we still have all that warmth, all that humidity still hanging around. So let's zoom things out for you here, and then I'm going to pop this radar back up. I want to make sure we take a close look at that. So again, sweeping radar picking up on a little bit. It does look like we've got that severe thunderstorm warning down to the south. This line too, that was the other thing I wanted to mention, is we've got kind of two shapes of storms here, which sounds really nitty gritty, but is kind of important when we start to talk about severe weather threat. So we've got some isolated cells here, but we also have this general line trying to develop. Those isolated cells, as they start to strengthen, if they remain as isolated cells, can be areas of concern. Those are a lot easier to get spinning when you've got a lot of energy and a lot of spinning in the atmosphere already, and those kind of storms are what increases our chances for those isolated tornadoes. Versus these straight lines, we don't have a lot of wiggles, a lot of turns. That's going to indicate, again, more of a straight line wind threat versus a tornado threat, which again is what we've kind of been anticipating with this system. That straight line wind, really the main concern as these are rolling in. So again, right now, starting to see some isolated showers pop. Let's take a closer look here, just a little bit closer to home. I'm going to zoom things in here on this little cell that we've had developed just to the north of Urbana. So right now, this is starting to move into areas like Bell Fountain, just to the north of DeGraff, starting to see some patchy areas of heavier rain. I will say, even these early showers, you're likely to hear them as they start to roll in more than anything else. Some brief heavy rain, some thunder, some lightning, some brief bouts of gusty winds with these isolated showers. Right now, again, the strongest stuff still staying to our south. So again, Stokes, you've got some showers overhead right now. Bell Fountain, a little bit of light rain. I'd say give it another 15 minutes max, and you're going to start to see some of those heavier showers begin to move in. I do want to zoom this out for you as well and just give you another quick track on this little pocket of showers here, because again, this one is the little first of several that we're going to be tracking in central Ohio as we head through the next couple of hours. So again, I'm going to move you here just off to the side, and then let's get a little track on this. So again, this system, generally watching these storms move, we'll say about 25 to 30 miles per hour right now. I'm going to keep this mostly moving east. And I'm going to step out of the way for you here. Urbana, again, seeing potential for a couple isolated showers here shortly. Cable 727, Mechanicsburg 732, Milford Center seeing some showers and some thunderstorms by 743, 751 in Marysville, Plains City 757, Hilliard, listen up, 808 for an arrival time for those showers. And as of right now, Dublin, we're looking at 811. So again, starting to see some potential for these showers to develop. The line, of course, starting to come together. So let's take another look, because I do think we're starting to see some additional activity out there. So let's zoom this out for you. So again, these storms are going to continue to pop, starting to see some more cells here within this line, trying to fill in, but not succeeding as of yet. And we have seen some reports of hail. Jerry, I don't know if we have any more updates as of this moment, but again, really starting to see these cells begin to fill in.
Yeah, the only report that I've seen, Madison, is one out of the area is just southwestern corner in and around Dayton. That's the area that has that pea-sized hail. There have been around Montgomery County and Preble County, again southwest near Miami, a strong thunderstorm moving northeast, as we said, at about 25 to 30 miles an hour. So the threat still for these storms continues to be something that we're watching, and we'll do that for the next several hours this evening. For the latest weather information, you can come back over and join us here, Madison, to round things up this evening. Latest weather information, you can always go to the website. Best way is probably the mobile mobile app, the 10 TV mobile app for news and, of course, in this case, weather headlines. If there is a tornado warning anywhere in the Doppler 10 area, we will let you know immediately and break into coverage. I know there's some sensitivity around that. There might be a big season finale tonight. We're going to be very cognizant of that. If there is a severe thunderstorm threat, you'll see notification on the bottom of your screen. You'll get that on your mobile phone, and then it might pique or pick up your attention if that's where you live. If not, you're aware and you can kind of go back to watching your show. So keep that in mind. We can always catch us, of course, on air and online and on the go. And if we need to break into coverage later on today, we will. If not, go to 10tv.com and can download the weather app for free today. Stay safe, and we'll keep an eye to the sky for you.